Alright everybody, welcome back to the 2012 West Virginia State Magic Championships from Beckley, West Virginia. My name is Zachary Evans and I'm joined by Brandon Hodge, who we just featured in the Deck Tech, who won round 5. The beauty of going 5-0 at this event is you can double draw in. So, thank you Brandon for giving Brett a break.
Oh, absolutely.
And best of luck to you in the top 8.
Oh, appreciate it.
We have the incorrect pairings up there right now. But we do have deck lists here if you want to let me know what we got. On the left we have Andrew Faulkner, and he is playing a Grixis, you'd say control deck, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1-ofs.
Yeah, so that's
7 1-ofs, I'm sorry.
That's a control deck if I ever saw one, so
one Nicol Bolas, oh wow.
It's always a good day when we can get a Nicol Bolas on camera. Now one is his opponent, Andy Miller, I believe, right?
Yes.
What is he playing?
Andy Miller playing zombies.
Which brew?
Oh, it looks like we have another black-red zombies match.
Okay, so
this is actually, in playtesting, is a very, very tough matchup for Faulkner. You know, he playtested with me before we started, and it doesn't seem like his deck can control it enough.
Mm-hmm. Is he playing Pillar of Flame main?
He is. He's playing 3, let's see, it looks like 4 Gravecrawler, 4 Artists, Messenger, the whole package, Ghouls, 4 Cacklers. He's playing a Grip of Aristocrats as well. 3 Pillar of Flame, 4 Searing Spear, 4 Bump of the Night, 3 Brimstone Volley. It looks like the exact same 75 is the one that top 8 of the Star City Games.
So he's playing a Joe Bernal deck.
Yes.
Including the extra mountain in the sideboard.
He does have the extra mountain in the sideboard.
Okay, so we have Joe Bernal's deck on the left, or on the right. Andy Miller fighting black-red zombies. Similar to the deck you just played in round 5, not nearly as much, well...
I mean, the main board is the exact same 60.
Mm-hmm.
Sideboard's different.
The sideboard is very different.
He has 2 Appetite for Brains, 2 Knight of Infamy, 2 Rakdos Charm, 2 Dreadbore, 1 Mountain, 1 Pillar of Flame, and 2 Sever the Bloodline.
Alright,
so this is a very, very tough matchup for Andrew Faulkner.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, just one thing that we got to see just while they were shuffling up is people need to realize when you're pile shuffling like that, be careful with it, because the first thing you saw was Andrew Faulkner flip a card. Granted, with the new format, it hurts a lot less than what it used to.
Yep. This is a game of limited information. So just getting out my last...
And it's like when you'll be talking to an opponent, you know, the point of this is to come out and have fun, but you'll get people that are trying to get little information that you don't know they will, like what decks have you beat today, or what decks have beat you.
This is a very casual, what I would say the most casual of Tier 1 competitions.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is not the same level as a Grand Prix Day 2 or the money rounds of a Star City Open, or by no means the Pro Tour, but there's always someone trying to grind an edge, so seems like reasonable advice. We do appreciate all of those who have watched, and we've lost a few. We always lose a few viewers when we go in between rounds, but for those of you who stuck around, we appreciate it. For those of you who have been watching since the start, since about back at 11:30 Eastern Time, we appreciate your patronage. If you're watching on Twitch TV, make sure you sign up for our account and follow us. We do a Friday night F&M broadcast every Friday, 6:30 Eastern Time, but we have a lot of midweek unannounced events, so the only way you can know for sure is if you follow us, and you'll get an email notification anytime our stream goes live. So it's free. It doesn't cost you anything.
Following F&M, I think that's absolutely amazing. You don't see enough of that.
Yeah. Actually, we get a lot of feedback that people like seeing. They say you can see a large-scale event all the time.
Absolutely.
You can see an SCG event twice every weekend.
Absolutely.
They have 4 Pro Tours a year. Yeah. We have lots of stuff going on in that regard. So, but
Mountain Go out of Andrew Faulkner. And then we're going to see, looks like Gravecrawler. This is exactly the start Andrew Faulkner does not want to have to deal with.
This deck will go. I think this matchup will operate the same as the Jund deck. The more Pillar of Flames that Andrew draws, well, it's the perfect
one
start.
time.
The perfect start. So And you did say, what is, as we see a Blood Artist come out of Andy's deck, what is this, how are we closing out the game here in this Grixis control list?
I know Nicol Bolas is a big closeout.
He has 2 Olivias as well.
2 Olivias. I know he's going to try to set it up with Jace. Which, I mean, Jace is good against zombies, but it's not the game-winning condition against zombies. You know, giving them -1 is powerful, but not powerful enough against this deck, especially when it has burn.
Sure. So most importantly out of control deck is we haven't missed a land drop yet. And we didn't have a follow-up to the Blood Artist on turn 3, so Andy is giving, I just now realized we have 2 Andrews. This is going to be confusing. So I'll refer to them by their deck types. Zombies is giving the control deck
Andrew and Andy.
The window it needs to...
Looks like an Unleashed Cackler.
Or at least on the stack. It does resolve, so... I'm trying to see what's in Zombie's hands. I see a Swamp. I don't know what else we've got, so...
It looks like another Pillar of Flame in Andrew Flair's hand. Pillar of Flame?
I see a Sever. I think is a control deck running Sever in the main.
Yes, I know for a fact he does it. He actually was thinking about boarding them out.
So this is a very telling point of this matchup. We're already into turn 5, and Andrew's life total is still 18. So he's in a much better spot than he could be here. And for those who are curious, we are in round 6. These 2 players are... Andrew has a draw, so he's 4-0-1, and he's paired down against Andrew Miller. And an interesting fact. 4-1.
And an interesting fact about this Faulkner, actually, the draw he had was against zombies, but it was against the blue-black. Or I'm sorry, the
and we see
black-green zombies.
This is very interesting and a very good play here, as he had 4 mana and the ability to exile the or to cast Sever last turn. Chose not to. Got a ton of value out of that. Also, the Blood Artist trigger only triggers when he goes to the graveyard, right?
Absolutely.
So exiling is a huge part of the current metagame. As we see a bump in the Knights.
Right now, you know, in the turn they're in, absolutely, you know, 1 Blood Artist with nothing else behind it is not exactly where you want to be if you're in that situation.
And he's close to Hellbent too. I think he only has 1 card in his hand. He does have the mana he needs to. He does have the mana he needs to flash back his bump. So Andrew's life total is effectively 9, but.
Is that Olivia out of Andrew Faulkner?
Yeah. Olivia with the mana open to ping something. Can you see what he's flipping around his hand? Is that a Syncopate? It's a blue card. I don't know if it's a Snapcaster. Is he even playing Syncopate?
Oh.
Do you know if he's playing any counter spells at all? He is playing Izzet Charms.
He's playing Izzet Charms. I'm thinking there is Syncopate in it, and I got to be honest with you, yeah, he is playing 2 Syncopates. It is kind of rough to read Andrew Faulkner's deck list.
It is not the tidiest of lists. I will say that I've seen a lot of deck lists today. It is up there for most garbled, but it doesn't matter how good your penmanship is. It just matters how good your deck is and how well you play it. So, Olivia on board. Messenger comes down. I guess we're debating it. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if Faulkner is just bluffing the counterspell, which I guess is a good play, but...
I mean, yeah, there's no... I don't see this game lasting very, very much longer. It's going to have to be... Faulkner's going to have to put a ton more pressure. I mean, you know, maybe dropping Nicol Bolas if he gets the opportunity. But, I mean, just the pressure that Messenger, with any Blood Arts, with pretty much any creature, especially in zombies, is going to put on is very tough to deal with.
And remember, with the bump of the night in the graveyard, or 2 of them, his life total is effectively 4. Andrew counting up the bump in the night flashback mana, so he's well aware. Is there any life gain? So I guess his plan is he's going to ping the messenger there and then steal it next turn. Yeah, we do see Brimstone Volley take out the Olivia. So back to square one for Andrew. Cannot see what's his hand. He has a Snapcaster in hand, which can buy back that Sever. Of course, he can just flash back the Sever manually. And that's what he's doing. So gets rid of the threat on board.
I'm not sure about the play. I don't know if I'd want to just flash back the Sever or go ahead and Snapcaster Mage it, because he has effectively done no damage. He has effectively put no pressure on Andy
His
Miller.
clock is very low. Did I ask already if he has any main deck life gain in his deck?
No, he does not.
So I see an Izzet Charm. I see a Snapcaster Mage. I see a Syncopate. The Syncopate will effectively trade with one of the Bump of the Nights. But he's going to have to do something about it.
Do we know how many cards are in Andy Miller's hand?
He doesn't. He's hellbent. He doesn't have a single one.
He
drew that.
drawing off the top.
Messenger came off the top last round, or last turn.
So Andrew Faulkner is going to have to answer to the board quickly.
Yep. So we see Izzet Charm. On the Blood Artist, the trigger will still resolve. Snapcaster flashing back.
Snapcaster pillar.
That's
Good
a pretty good turn of events.
Play. Okay, I was completely incorrect about what he should have done with that Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah. To be perfectly fair, I forgot he had the, and he's going to syncopate this Bump in the Night, right?
Absolutely.
So he's a very bad grizzly bear in play, but he has stemmed the tide here.
And everybody, this is the issue with black-red zombies. If they can answer you mid-game, you are playing from way behind.
Yeah. He keeps revealing. Is that just a bluff he's doing for the miracles? He's not playing a bonfire or anything.
No.
So the second bump gets in there.
I actually like that. I like getting in the habit of looking at your cards like that. You know, it's less information you're giving your opponents in case you are playing miracles.
It's a good mechanic. Any particular reason why he's not attacking here?
I don't see any haste creatures. Yeah, I really don't.
I guess Dragmangler is the only card that he might be afraid of. But now this is interesting here too, because that Blood Artist dying, which he'll jump the Snapcaster, or if he has to remove him otherwise, turns on all of his 3-power
Is that
burn
another
spells.
pillar in Andrew's hand, it looked like?
I do not know. Gravecrawler comes down.
If it is a pillar, we'll know this turn.
Cycle to Think Twice. An old Think Twice, the way it should be done. Keyrune. That's the Rakdos Keyrune, correct?
Yes.
And a Cyclonic Rift.
3/1 first strike.
I don't think Rift is good enough, is it? Can't see what Andrew's been drawing, so obviously it's not been business. And like I said, the fact that Blood Artist is out there, any chump block at this point will turn on all of his three power guys. So before damage, bouncing the Blood Artist. Very good play that keeps him from losing that life.
Because Blood Artist is not a zombie, so Gravecrawler will not be able to come into play with the Blood Artist on. And it looks like we have a concession.
What did he concede to? Did Andrew show him something?
No, it didn't seem to show anything.
Well, to be quite honest, there's a less than 10% chance that Andrew would have come back from that. Even if he lands one of his bombs, he's still at 4 life. So, with 1 game to the good for Andy Miller, let's now turn to the sideboard. What is Faulkner bringing in this matchup?
See, has one Counterflux, one Dreadbore. I don't think I like Dreadbore in this matchup.
It doesn't do anything.
He has 2 Negate. He'll bring in his full grip of Vampire Nighthawk.
Yes.
He'll bring in Sever the Bloodline.
Yep.
He's got Tamiyo.
Border and Blood seems useless.
Yeah.
What is that, Lone Revenant?
Looks like it.
What do you know what Lone Revenant does?
I actually don't.
All right,
And
so
you are one step ahead of me being able to read it.
Two shakes here. We'll have the Lone Revenant is a hexproof creature that
Whenever Lone Revenant deals combat damage to a player, if you control no other creatures, look at the top 4 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
Is this an anti-control card?
Yeah.
Does it come in a control mirror?
Yeah, it would have to be. It's not going to come in on... I mean, the 4/4 and what it does, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be enough for it.
A Magmaquake, which is probably for the probably in the mirror as well.
Yeah.
And a Tamiyo, which I'm not sure is very good here. What's at the very top? Is that Rakdos Charm?
Yeah, I believe.
Rakdos Return. That's Rakdos Return.
Rakdos Return. Okay.
Okay. And a Counterflux. So it looks like he might be bringing in. He's bringing out the Nighthawks and bringing the extra Sever the Bloodline. That might be it. Now let's look to the zombies list. Like I said, this appears to be the exact deck that Joe Bernal took to top 4 last week in Cincinnati at the Star City event. He is probably bringing in 3 Underworld connections.
He'll obviously bring in. I'd say he brings in the
Appetite for
Infamies.
Yeah. No, I don't think he'll bring in Night Infamy. Most of Andrew's removal is red. I think he'd probably be bringing in the Underworld Charms. He has 3 copies, probably 2 Appetite for Brains.
Yeah, I mean, I really wouldn't see a reason for it, why he wouldn't. He doesn't know because he didn't see it, but actually Dreadbore would be a good sideboard card to bring in to deal with the Planeswalker, but he didn't see them. If he puts him on the Nicol Bolas package...
And if anyone saw, they actually did with Joe Bernal a deck tech last week during the Star City event, and he said that he was only bringing Dreadbores in against what he called big, dumb green creature decks.
Yeah.
Basically, he wasn't trying to race. He wasn't trying to interact with the Planeswalker. He wasn't trying to interact with the Planeswalker. He was trying to race, I should say.
Right.
So, it should be interesting. We'll just have to see how the players decide to go about their specific.
And I think if you're Andy Miller, I mean, you didn't see a win condition. So you're going to have to know a little bit about the deck of the Grixis. And at that point, I think you have to bring Dreadbore in. Whether or not he knows enough about the deck, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Man, this format is fun.
It's good.
Standard got fun quick.
You know what's more fun than Standard? Any Eternal format. I will not have the virtues of Standard extolled too much on my broadcast, sir. I'm going to throw this across the room, but I think I better not. But anyway, here, we're getting a little bit of lag and drag. I don't know what that's all about, but... So, for those of you who are just joining us, or to do a quick reset, we are currently watching a round 6 pairing between Andrew Faulkner on the left. He's down a game playing a Grixis control deck. He is 4-0-1. His opponent's up 1 games, Andy Miller, who's playing a Rakdos Zombies deck. He is 4-1. So, both of these guys still in contention for top 8. We're on our 6th round. There are 7 rounds of Swiss. So.
And the first card we see in Andrew Faulkner's hand is Vampire Nighthawk, which is very good against Black-Red Zombies.
Except for the second card in Andrew Miller's hand, I see, is a Searing Spear. So,
once again, I would like to retract my previous statement and apologize to all those offended.
But, I mean, at least if your creature is eating a Searing Spear instead of you, it's more than a moral victory. It's very relevant. So
we see Andrew Faulkner turn 1 land go, Andy Miller turn 1 Gravecrawler. I know what end of that I would like to be on.
Yes.
No action out of Faulkner after turn 2. Is that a Guildgate, or did he not pay the 2 for Blood Crypt?
Well, see, this is the problem. It's a Guildgate, but this is the problem with these arts for the new Return to Rabbit cards. We've talked about this multiple times already. All of the new Return to Ravnica cards that share a guild look very similar.
Absolutely, and now we see a bump in the night train starting.
From a distance, it is very difficult to make out these cards if you're not extremely familiar with it.
And on Andrew Faulkner's side, I mean, there's worse things you could see on turn 2 than bump in the night. It tells me he doesn't have any more pressure that he feels comfortable playing in turn 2. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's playing around a Pillar of Flame. Yeah, that is very interesting how it almost looks like he's trying to bluff the Miracle card off the top of the deck.
I think it's just a habit that most people have gotten into, as we see. That's a Blood Crypt.
There's a Blood Crypt. This is effectively the only damage that Andy Miller's taken in this match so far.
Yeah, there's just, I think it's just...
Is that a Magmaquake in Andrew Faulkner's graveyard?
Yes.
So he did bring him in. Okay.
Nighthawk will immediately get Searing Spirit. So what other business does Faulkner have? He has a Swamp. He has another Nighthawk. He is eating 4, however.
I mean, if next turn we see Falcon on a Crusade, this game is just absolutely over.
Yeah, well, he's already at 7. His life is effectively 5 with the next messenger trigger.
And if you'd have asked Andrew Faulkner before this match, what's one deck you don't want to play, he wouldn't have said zombies. He'd have said, I do not want to play black-red zombies. It's a very, very tough matchup for him. And I don't see him being able to survive this.
So he is in a world of hurt, and more important than any of that is the fact that this match is dangerously close to, or is in danger of finishing well before, and then I've got 30 minutes to kill, so.
There's worse things we could do with 30 minutes than be around Magic the Gathering.
No, but the problem is I can't move another match over there. That's not a function that I believe I have the authority to do. We can investigate that.
Yeah, we can ask the judge if we can get him a time extension, move him over. So. And if you've ever heard the term and ever wondered, Andy Miller is what we in the Magic community say, living the dream.
Yes.
He's curving out perfectly. He's answering anything and everything Andrew Faulkner can do, and now he's going to put him in a situation where I do not see him winning. Because if you're flashing back Snapcaster Mage and block Rakdos Keyrune, you're in a whole lot of trouble.
Your life is at 2. He shows him the burn spell.
Yep.
And that's the end of the game. It's unfortunate that we got Faulkner's deck in a round where he was so up against it in terms of matchup. But such are the perils of Magic the Gathering. Congratulations to Andrew Miller, who moves up to 5-1 and is still in contention for a top 8 in the upcoming final round. Andrew Faulkner drops to 4-1-1. I still think a 5-1-1 should make it. So both of these guys still have some work to do in the next round. Not everyone can live the dream, as you put it, like you, Hodge, and double draw into the top 8. So now we're at a bit of a pickle here. Let's see if...
if we have a minute, let's talk about a surprising number of mill decks that are in this tournament.
Okay, so you said earlier, as we will sort everything out here and switch back to the studio cam, you explained to me earlier, as we come now back to the studio, let's shift over slightly, just scoot a little bit there. All right, now we're more appropriate in the
right,
video. I'm Zachary Evans, this is Brandon Hodge, a guest commentator and current state competitor, likely drawing into the top 8. So, you told me that previously, I don't remember what round it was.
Would have been around 3.
That you lost a game of Magic the Gathering today to someone milling you out. So, would you like to discuss this deck?
It wasn't the high point of my Magic the Gathering career, and it still kind of hurts.
But the deck was to be fair, the deck was 2-0.
The deck was. It was in round 3. We were both 2-0. He played the big Jace, you know.
No, Jace Mizzium, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people wouldn't consider that the big Jace. And it was a lot of detention spears, a lot of oblivion rings, a lot of just answering what you can do. In the match. I was terminus 6 times.
Okay, because he was flashing it,
yeah.
snapping it back.
Yeah, absolutely. He was playing cards that let him rearrange his deck to find his terminuses, and then while I was trying to do any kind of thing, because you're not going to answer control when your vampires in a manner that matters, rather. Jace is just putting 10 cards in my graveyard, which is not a bad thing for zombies, but if you don't have another zombie in play, Gravecrawler's useless when it's in your graveyard. So.
Sure. Absolutely right. But it's interesting. I think it does speak, that in particular speaks to, number one, the kind of the wide appeal that an event like States has. Obviously,
yeah,
mono blue mill or blue white mill is not something that you see.
You'll get to see homebrews at a competitive REL. That's, you don't see that very often.
That's what we like to see as Magic live streamers. We like to see a good variety. And just in general, there are a lot of good decks. Like we talked about before, there are a bunch of different decks. If you've not played Magic in a while, and you are tired of always playing against the same deck, if you lived through Blue-White Delver Mirrors for an entire year, if you lived through the summer of Cawblade, if you're old like
Black
me,
Summer, as we like to call it.
If you're an old man like myself and remember the summer of '95 when everything was necropotence,
yes.
If you're tired of that, that's not what Standard is currently. There are a lot of viable decks. I mean, you have your tier 1 decks, you have your zombies, whether it's a Rakdos build like yours, whether it's Jund, whether it's Bulgari, but you have those. You have your Jund decks, you have your green-white decks. We've had 3 separate green-white builds on the camera today. Not to mention your traditional blue-white control decks, your red-white-blue control decks, your Grixis control decks. There is a deck, and that's not even talking about the beatdown decks. The other 5-0 competitor who you're drawing in with, Aaron McLaughlin, he's playing a Bant beatdown deck.
I don't know how much he'd appreciate you telling me that.
The only reason I mentioned that is because when I asked him, he was standing right next to you. So,
right.
So he already knew that, but it also doesn't matter because you're all drawing in, and,
right.
and top page is deck list available. So, but anyway, that just tells you, like, you're going with red, black, burn, beat down. He's going with the other 3 colors in the wheel.
I think the biggest really challenge that is starting to give people is normally if you are going to metagame, if you're going to sideboard for a certain deck, like, okay, I want to absolutely control myself and protect myself against zombies. What controls you against black-green zombies absolutely does not against black-red. It's just a wide open format. It kind of has a, once again, if you've been around for a couple of years, a feel of what Extended used to be, which is now essentially Modern. But it really gives you that feeling.
You can go into a Modern tournament. We actually both went to the Grand Prix in Columbus a few months ago. You can play 9 rounds on day 1 and not play the same deck twice. That's usually something that's reserved to Legacy events.
Absolutely.
And even now, Legacy events aren't like that because you usually run into the same 3 decks at the top tables.
Absolutely. I've played out of 6 rounds, one of them being a draw. I have played against 5 different decks.
Today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
absolutely.
Very interesting. There's a lot going on. So it's a fun time to play Magic. We talked earlier. There's a lot of people playing Magic. Magic is more popular now than it has ever been.
Absolutely.
So let's be honest. There's a reason why we're sitting here staring into this webcam and broadcasting this out. Absolutely. It's because there's enough interest that stuff like this is viable. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, we do have 22 minutes left in the round. I'm going to try and see if we can find another match. That's not something that I would not hold your breath. But I will try my best to see if we can find something. So we're going to go quiet here for a minute, and then we'll be back one way or the other, but hopefully with another match. All right, everyone, we are back. I told you we'd be back. So basically, here's the situation. I asked if it would be possible to move a Game 3 of another match over to the feature match area, and I was told...
Shut down.
I was told that it's almost impossible, which I figured would be the case going into that. It is a lot to ask, so that's not going to happen. What is going to happen, though, to kill the next 15 minutes or 17 minutes of time, is we will be having an impromptu Legacy playtesting session under the camera. So we have dug 2 Legacy decks out of the bin, or out of my bag, and we are now going to watch 2 of...
And from now on, your bag will be referred to as the bin.
Yeah, my bin contains 2 bags, or contains 2 decks. So, conveniently, we have Andrew Faulkner from last round. He is on the He is on the right now, which really cramps my style because I have to change my...
Playing my favorite deck in the game of Magic of any format.
Burn?
Absolutely.
Andrew Faulkner is playing mono red burn, so all the usual culprits that you would expect in a burn deck. On the right, on the left, Vince Smith, you saw him back in round 1. In the standard event, he is playing a green-white mid-range deck. Now, in the legacy portion of the states, he is playing my baby, Sneak and Show. So, this is in no way sanctioned. This is simply something fun to look at. We've talked to the owner-operator of Wall Sanctioned Games. We've done a deck tech. We have watched 6 excellent rounds of Magic. And now we are killing time. What? I have to go sort something out.
Zach's going to go over, and there you are. There's a question about one of the decks. Zach's going to go over and clear it up. I mean, I think the great thing about a broadcast like this is, you know, if we run into a situation like we did where a match doesn't go any kind of time that will kill it, we can pull out a deck. We can pull out Legacy. You can pull out Modern. You can pull out anything. And, you know, if you're watching a sanctioned match, you'll learn a lot. If you're watching playtesting, you'll learn a lot as well, you know. The great thing about Magic, and the only way to be an effective Magic player, is just never stop learning. Andrew Faulkner on the right is playing Burn, a deck that I actually played at a Star City Games Open Legacy event, and top 32 that event with Burn. It's a kind of deck that just nobody really expects. Burn will go under the radar for a couple months. No one will... It'll just leave people's minds. No one will be expecting it. And then out of nowhere, it'll win a couple Star City Game Opens back-to-back. I know that Todd Anderson's opponent in the Invitational, in the Legacy portion, was playing Mono Red Burn and lost to Ruck Delver.
Ali Antrazi?
Yes.
He was losing with Mono Red Burn, too.
He did lose with Mono Red Burn.
Mono Red Burn is a deck that Brett put together. Brett Rose is actually his deck, the commentator from earlier today.
Sneak and Show.
I'm just hoping there's not a turn 1. It's bad for everybody.
Looks like sneaking. Looks like, yeah.
He has to
Show and tell.
His only land was a... as he looks over here and grins, he had his only land was an Ancient Tomb. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Legacy, it's very, very fun. It is my preferred format. Legacy is basically every set of Magic cards ever printed, excluding the most broken ones.
Oh look, the most infamous color of orange in the game of Magic. Force of Will.
Force of Will. I've had those Force of Will since I was 14 years old.
Oh wow.
So Legacy, we're using old cards, we're using broken cards, we're doing degenerate things. What do these decks do? If you're unfamiliar, Sneak and Show refers to Sneak Attack and Show and Tell, 2 cards that basically let you cheat giant creatures into play. Show and Tell lets you and your opponent both choose a permanent, put it into play. Sneak Attack lets you cheat a creature into play from your hand. It dies it into turn. But what are we putting into play?
And now we're seeing what Burn does. You know, the Sneak and Show. Sneak and Show deck comes out of nowhere, just puts Gristlebrand or, you know, biggest creature in the format into play.
I got distracted there by the Goblin Guide. I love myself a Goblin Guide. But anyway, Sneak and Show is trying to cheat in Gristlebrand and Emrakul into play.
Thank you. I couldn't think of it either.
So we see a Daze on the Goblin Guide.
The Volcanic Island out of Vince Smith.
In Andrew's deck, very simple. He's just getting in there. So Brainstorm in response to the Goblin Guide. Forcing these Goblin Guides is very important. A Goblin Guide can be as good as a 6 or 8 damage spell.
How do you feel about Vexing Devil in the Legacy Burn deck?
I feel like he's got 4 of them in that. It's just as good as anything else. So we suspend a Rift Bolt. So Brett's or Vince's effective life down to 14 when that.
This is one of the few matchups I feel if it goes very late game, Andrew Faulkner may have an advantage.
No, this is my Sneak and Show deck. I've been playing. I play a deck with show and tell in it, regardless of what I'm putting into play. That's the only question. It's not what deck I'm playing. It's what am I show and telling.
Right.
So Brett and I have played this matchup infinite times. It's a lot fairer than you think.
Right.
Because yes, the sneak and show deck has degenerate draws that can't be beat. You can put a turn 1 Emrakul into play. That does happen. Bristlebrand with lifelink makes it very difficult for the burn deck. But the burn deck wins on a 3 or 4 turn clock often.
And my lack of knowledge of the mana base of Sneak and Show, how great is Price of Progress right now for
well,
I mean, obviously right now it would only hit for 2.
It's not that great, only because usually Vince will be dead before Price of Progress comes into play.
Right.
And people know Price of Progress is a card, so they will play around it. As we see, Goblin God revealing a Scalding Tarn. Should be at 12, I think. Yeah, I had it correct. But his whole deck there, his whole hand is just bolts. You see a Chain Lightning and a Lava Spike. Lava Spike, I referenced it earlier. So, one of those is getting dazed.
Yep.
Whichever one was the second one. So
Daze on the Chain Lightning.
yeah. So Vince has a show and tell and Emrakul in hand, but at this point he will show and tell Emrakul and likely die on the way back. It only takes 3 lightning bolts out of Andrew's deck here. So
Show and tell.
Andrew is not a legacy player, correct?
No, correct.
So he is right now learning the value or the power of a card called show and tell. So
There is Emrakul.
the fact that Andrew did not put anything to play means his whole hand is likely bolts. He is not dead here. There's no point in attacking.
It's going to take absolutely everything in his hand. It's going to have to be a 3 burnout right now.
Yeah. So there's the one. We're down to
We don't see the 3rd land.
Yeah. So he needs another bolt. He needs 2 more bolts and the land. I see one of his cards is a Grim Lavamancer. That's not good enough. Lightning Bolt is good. And a Fire Blast, if he had it, he could stack those 2 mountains as alternate cost. But he is not dead here. If he has another bolt in his hands and he draws a mountain, he will not die to the Annihilator trigger. He will simply be in an awful spot. So.
See a Ponder out of Instant.
Yep.
It has been argued and it has been debated forever, and I have to get your idea on it. What's your favorite Ponder art? The
Ponder art?
Or the fish?
I am not a lore 1 Ponder art guy. And he is just scooping, he is resolving his Annihilator trigger, not scooping up his cards, because if he did draw a mountain there and he had a 3 mana...
he scooped.
No, he drew the card off the top. I saw. So.
The power of Sneak and Show, be it 3 life, it gets burned.
I'm going to reserve the right to brag one time about my Magic credentials.
Okay.
I don't have many, so it's a very short list. But I've played in 1 Grand Prix in my life. Earlier this year, we made the trip to Indianapolis for the Legacy Grand Prix because I wanted to play Legacy. This is my favorite format, and we don't have we're trying. We're going to start having Wednesday night Legacy at the shop.
Oh, great.
But so I went. I made day 2, and I finished 104th out of a 1,600 player tournament. So with this exact Secret Show deck, actually no, it's different. At that point, it was sneaking Progenitus into play instead of Gristlebrand,
right?
Because Gristlebrand didn't exist.
Exactly.
And as much as I hate to switch over to whatever the best deck is at the time, like it's just so much better than Progenitus. Now I know they do have the new Omniscience version and all that, but that catches graveyard hate. There's a lot of different. It's not strictly better, but all these decks are the same. Dream Halls, Hive Mind, Show and Tell, and here we go. Turn one. You're a jerk. Turn 1, Gristlebrand. What a jerk. So that's the power of a card like Show and Tell. He uses the Lotus Petal, which he can sack for 1 mana of any color.
I think we may end up getting a pro ruling on this. They may be able to play a best of 5 because I don't see us running out of time anytime soon.
No.
Because this match is effectively over.
Yeah, this is the power of a deck like Sneak and Show. It does have a lot of raw power. Unfortunately, it also has a lot of draws that don't really do anything except just cantrip and desperately dig for business. So, yes, it is unfair when you see that.
Is a Lightning Bolt on the Gristlebrand?
I think he's got a Fire Blast in hand. And there's the Force of Will. So he had to go for it. So what Andrew was doing there was trying to burn out. Fire Blast is an old Visions card that does 4 damage to something, but instead of playing its mana cost, which is 6, you can sacrifice 2 mountains. So he did his best.
And this is what I love about Legacy. It's just so incredibly powerful. The first Legacy event I ever played in that I was referencing earlier, the Star City Games Open Legacy portion, and I believe it was round 2, and I was playing this exact burn deck. I caught a Seething Song on turn 3, bringing Stuffy Doll into play. And then the next turn, putting Guilty Conscience on Stuffy Doll.
Yeah, that wins.
Which is an auto. And for all of you that don't know, Stuffy Doll is the artifact creature, which actually is standard now. I don't see it seeing much play. But it's a 0/1 indestructible. When it comes into play, you choose a player. All damage dealt to Stuffy Doll is dealt to that player, and Stuffy Doll can tap to deal 1 damage to itself. Equipped it with Guilty Conscience for 1 white. Whenever an enchanted creature deals damage, Guilty Conscience does that much damage to it. It's an infinite damage combo. You know, you're used to seeing Delver for so long, and then it's like, oh wow, there's Stuffy Doll. Not as quick a win putting Gristlebrand into play turn 1 as it would, say, Emrakul. But the life gain just puts it out of Andrew
It's a delayed. It's a delayed. Brett and I have played this matchup infinite times, and
and there's the scoop.
One more.
Go again.
One more. Let him play the show and tell deck.
Switch decks. There we go.
So Andrew,
a
Legacy rookie. It's only fair to give the poor kid who's been showed and tell to death his own chance to show and tell.
The poor
Legacy
kid is
a
0-4 on camera
format.
at this point.
Yeah, he is. Poor guy. But he's still drawing live to the top 8, 4-1-1.
Absolutely, he's a very, very dangerous Magic player. He's very good.
So let's hope he runs a... did he used to play Black Red Zombies in Zendikar Standard?
He did.
Okay, so I've played against him at FNM. He beat me.
He is
what a jerk. But we chopped the top 4, it was alright, so.
Yeah, Andrew Faulkner's a very good player.
That was the one and only time I played Caw-Blade.
Oh, really?
My buddy wanted to come down to hometown, he wanted to draft, so I said, I'm going to play your standard deck. So I put the Goblins aside and top forward with the best deck in standard history. So, Andrew is...
Really? You're going to put Caw-Blade's the best deck in standard history?
No, I'm just using hyperbole.
I was going to say...
It's in the top
Artifacts
10.
was really good.
Affinity?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Necropones wasn't that bad either. There are a lot of Tinker was pretty good.
Tinker was good.
Academy,
Mirrorfolk was great.
Yeah, so there are a lot of good standard decks.
I don't think anyone's ever dominated a format like Caw-Blade did.
No. There's just a lot of that deck. So anyone in the chat, feel free to whinge and moan about Caw-Blade. This is everyone's right to. So Andrew is slowly learning all of his cards. He knows what a Ponder does. So we see a Brainstorm, a Spell Pierce, and a Lotus Petal.
Which is, I mean, Andrew Faulkner actually, we had this discussion on the way to this event, doesn't play a lot of Legacy, but actually studies it more than most do. You can have a very intelligent Magic conversation about Legacy with Andrew Faulkner.
So this looks like a show and tell or a show and tell for sneak attack. That's one thing people don't realize. Sneak attack is an enchantment. You can show and tell sneak attack out.
Absolutely.
And then, because there are some instances where show and tell, since it is a symmetric effect, you can't get blown out by what they put into play.
Yes, you can.
So. Thanks, Buzz. So, and for those of you who are familiar with Legacy, as we see Andrew cast an Intuition. What is Intuition? Basically a blue demonic tutor. It costs 2. It is 2 and a blue. It is an instance.
And keep in mind that 2 minutes at the bottom of the screen, that is not for this.
No. For those of you who are just joining us and are surprised at why someone is playing show and tell in the standard championships of states, that's because we are in between rounds and we are killing some time with some sweet Legacy action. For those of you unfamiliar with Intuition, you search up any 3 cards, your opponent picks one. The key there is you just pick 3 of the same cards. So he searched up show and tell, he resolves show and tell. I'm not sure what life he's at, so I'm going to take the life off. I haven't been paying attention. But Gristlebrand's in play. It's very unlikely that he could win from here. So, 3 mana tap. Rift Bolt, Gristlebrand.
Well, I think we can assume he doesn't have a Force Will, or that would happen immediately.
Or he would Force of Will the second one. Does he have a Spell Pierce? Doesn't matter because he could draw cards in response. And I think he is. 4, 5, 6, 7. Swing and a miss. He drew every mana source in his deck. Oh, he had a Force Will.
He does have a Force Will. Did he draw a blue source?
Yeah, he drew a blue card. So, no. He's figuring it out. There he is. There it is.
There's that orange.
It took him. He went around the mountain for that one. We still got where he was going. And for those of you who don't play Legacy, not all Legacy is broken combo decks and burn decks. There's a lot of fair decks. There's green-white Maverick decks. There's blue-white Stoneforge decks. There are a lot of decks. And the misconception that Legacy is expensive to get into, not really. Look at any of the top standard decks right now. Look at the Jund list and tell me how expensive it is.
Absolutely, and you have to think, even if you want a deck that does cost more money, that deck will last you a lot longer than any standard deck will.
So, Sneak and Show, undefeated. We just saw some sweet show and tell action on the...
That's what I was listening to. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Well, we ran out of standard to show, so we went and showed some Legacy. So, as you can see, the round about to end. We're going to take a brief break here and reset. We'll be back for the final round of final round of Swiss to determine our top 8 for the 2012 West Virginia State Championship.
Stay tuned.